If you had another name, what would it be? And if you got to try on another identity with the time that you have left in this precious life, what else might you want to explore? Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Hello, everyone. How are you? Have you ever gone anywhere on a trip and nobody knows who you are, so you forget who you are too? You forget the ideas that you have about who you should be, in the sense that you get to show up a little different. I'm out in California again this weekend, and though I know a lot of people here and I have a familiarity because it feels a bit like a second home, I always find that I get to expand a bit when I'm traveling, and I feel like the box changes. The box that's around me changes. Even more so, when you walk into a place where people think that they know who you are, they're going to treat you, in a way that continues to call forth that pattern within me. And I think it's really interesting to be in places where people don't have an idea about what our name is, what our job is, what we like to eat, who we're attracted to, what we sense as our identity. There's so many identifying things that we latch onto as humans. And yeah, it helps us sort through all the possibilities for ourselves and for others. And it even gives us, like, when we sort out, it's like the part of us that wants to put the shape in the box that goes with like that matches. We want to match things up. We want to categorize things. That's what little ones do to make sense of the world. And we do it too. But what if we get the opportunity to not just fit a certain shape? What if I don't have to keep behaving the way that I did yesterday just because I have latched onto that idea of who I am, and the people around me are constantly reflecting it back to me? All this started because I essentially have 3 first names, and all growing up, the people in my who are the people in your neighborhood, Well, the people in my neighborhood called me Leslie because that's what my family called me. And it's a beautiful name. I love the name Leslie. But my middle name, Indigo, really, like, it fits my heart. And so many people call me Indigo. And if I tell people my name's Leslie Indigo, almost everyone says, well, can I call you Indigo? Can I call you Indi? And I have a last name that's kind of like a first name, and so, and there's more story there. But whenever I am called any one of those names, my head turns, and I know all of them as me. And so it's a weird thing to be only one name. Like, why? Why do I have to be only one name? And yes, I have a sense, I'm not out of touch with my identity or my ego self, but if you had another name, what would another name that you would have be? Who would you want to be? Like, have you ever even considered it? I believe that it's an important part of self-discovery to, in many native tribe cultures, there was a naming ceremony. And I think it's important to do that ceremony for ourselves more than once in one lifetime, to feel into who we might be today. And that's why I love nicknames. I do love nicknames. And I love playing with costumes and characters and identities. Lion party coming up soon because March comes in like a lion. I love doing costume journeys with people, and yes, the camera brings out something in people that's not there when they're not performing for the camera, and the camera comes on, whether it's this little video camera or someone puts a phone or a lens in your face, there's a part that's like, I'm here to be seen in a different way. Have you ever caught a glimpse of yourself in your phone by accident? You're like, who is that? Or in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I'm not making my face that I make whenever I'm looking in the camera. Who's that person that's not performing in some way? I think ultimately we're always performing, because the truest nature of who I am, all of that identity is gone. You know, I'm very two-spirited, but the nature of being a man or a woman is gone. The nature of being a certain age is gone. Where do you live? Well, I love to travel all over the place. I've got roots in several different places, if you know me. I love to go to new places, but I really love to go back to a place that I've been before and walk into the coffee shop and have somebody say hey, because they remember me, and I like drop down other little hometown experiences and other places. I mean, I've been to Greece quite a few times in the last few years, and there's something to me that's really special about going back in a place and getting a hug across the world, or knowing a dessert or a coffee that I want to have in a restaurant. Sedona is one of those places for me, and it's interesting to both love the familiarity and the novelty, and yet in who I am, I'm familiar with roles that I've played, but like, I'm not done yet. I have a whole lot of life left to live. God willing, by the grace, I will be here for a long time playing in this body and playing with the characters that I am. And I've really been asking myself lately, like, who else do I want to be? What else do I want to explore? And one of the things that I know is I can have a whole lot of hats on. Like, I love hats. I could have 5 hats on my head and know the different things that those hats go with. There's the garden hat. Maybe there's a beekeeper hat. Maybe there's a construction hat. Maybe there's my art hat, my baseball cap, my Paddington Bear hat. That was one I had when I was younger. Like, you know, kind of the blossom look, you know, the velvet hat. I had that for years. All these different hats, and they have different essence and characters that I've been while wearing those hats. And I can wear them all, but it gets a little muddy. What's interesting is to take all the hats off and then pick one hat that I want to try on and see, who am I in that hat? And this metaphor goes in so many different directions, but one thing I'm curious about is what happens when we decide who we are and we stop asking ourselves what else might be possible for us? What other flavors might I like in life? What other places might I want to go to? There is something so yummy and so cozy and so comforting about being in the familiar and going back to identities and boxes that feel good to us, because we know kind of how to behave within that system. But personally, I don't want to give up trying out new experiences too, and exploring new ways that I might show up and be. I want to meet myself over and over and over again in life. I want to fall in love with myself over and over and over. I don't just want to, I am. I am experiencing so many new things every day of my life. And I often say that I'm edging life. I'm coming to the edge and I'm moving a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further. At what point do I slip? And at what point do I fly? It's a ever moving line. And as I'm learning to fly and as I'm learning to be new things, I have to take some risk. I might slip. I might not like something that I choose. I might have lessons from something that I choose. I'm here for it, baby. I'm here for it. I am willing to explore new things so that I can find new aspects of who I am. And also, have you ever done a puzzle more than once? It can be interesting. You're like, like a little bit faster, but eventually you don't want to keep doing the same puzzle. You want to try a new puzzle, a new game, a new challenge. I like new challenges. I like to put it all on the line again and see what happens. And see what happens. To see if I can figure the next thing out. Feeling masterful at something is really lovely until it just becomes boring. And so trying new things and seeing what happens, expanding. I'm feeling a lot of expansion. I'm feeling a lot of fire. And I think that anything that's happening individually is also happening in the world. So let's see who we might be together collectively too. Let's push the edge. Let's see where we can go if we try it differently and we aren't so attached to what we think it should be. Maybe it's time for something new. Maybe we'll like it. Maybe I'll like it. And you know what? When we know places that are comfortable, we can always go back. They sometimes change. I was just at Topanga Cafe. And it's like new paint colors, and they sanded the wood and it looks different, and like on all the shelves it's like lighter and it's more hip and trendy. And I couldn't decide if I liked it or if I wanted the old, but ultimately I decided that everything's constantly changing. Me, the places I go to, even the familiar places I go to are changing, and it's just part of life. So if you had another name, what would it be? And if you got to try on another identity with the time that you have left in this precious life, what else might you want to explore? Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Okay, all my love. Have an amazing, amazing day.